I came up with this kind of, I don't know if it's a tool or saying, but which I call the invitation to a conversation. Because we also have to be respectful of each other and each other's time and where we are in that moment and where we are in that day. So very often what happens is that someone has a complaint and either they have held it, so then it just comes out. And it usually comes out as something kind of minimal and it's a big deal. And your actual issue probably never got heard because you had this big kind of explosion. And or you're just chilling, minding your own business, and then your partner comes out of nowhere and just hits you with the criticism. Even if soft, it's kind of out of nowhere. And you might not have been in the space. You might be doing something. You might be doing nothing. It doesn't matter. Are you even in that space? My hope is that we try to really front load and set ourselves up for the most success when it comes to conflict as possible. And one of the ways to do that is to invite the other to a conversation. To recognize that something's going on, you're feeling certain ways, you kind of have it figured out, and you want to talk about it with your partner. And you want to invite them, and you want to prepare them. You're not going to be like, hey, we need to talk tonight. Why am I in trouble? When I feel like I'm in trouble, I'm going to start rebelling, right? Like all these things come up. But if it's like, hey, I'm starting to feel really anxious about the holidays and booking our tickets. I know things are getting more expensive. And I'm starting to starting to overdo stuff where I'm going to start to get frustrated, I think, with you, which isn't fair because we haven't talked about it. So can we please make time this week? Like, can we sit down in a few minutes and book this and get this on our calendar? And I'm sure my partner is going to be like, oh yeah, yes, you're right. I know. I was thinking about it too. And we just haven't been able to sync up. So yes, let's sit down, find the time so that together we can do this. Beautiful. If I was like, we still haven't booked the tickets. I've been asking you for 5 weeks and you have yet to come to me. Clearly, you don't care about us getting and seeing our families this year. It's always me. I'm always the one that I don't even know why I even thought we would do this together because I'm the one that always does it. So, okay. Or even if maybe my partner was working, I'm like, we really need to figure out the plan for Christmas, for the holidays, for whatever. I was like, oh, again, inviting another to a conversation with context as to what you would like to talk about with intentionality, because you have some things you need to get through, changes the dynamic. And sometimes it's not even we have to wait any time. Your partner's like, actually, I'm totally free right now. Are you free? Let's sit down and book this. Or let's sit down and talk about what we're trying to get done. Or let's sit down and, say who's going to do what. But I have seen such amazing success when my couples have used this tool effectively, right? Again, adding context to it, not you're in trouble, we need to have a conversation. But here are some things that I'm feeling, here's the things I would like to discuss. Can we make some time? Because what that does too, let's say I wanted to talk about finances. I was feeling anxious about our finances and I wanted to talk about it. But I know that anytime my partner and I have conversations about finances, there's 3 things that continuously come up, or things that I get defensive of, or things we each might say that block us from moving forward. So I'm going to write that down. And I'm going to think, okay, so when we get into this part of the conversation, I know I tend to get defensive because he's going to start talking about my spending and that's going to bother me. So what can I think about that? How do I see my partner's role so I can kind of engage in that of understanding piece of it? And also, what's my perspective on this? Not in the old way of I should get to spend whatever, but what's my feelings on it when I feel like I can't spend money, or when I feel like my spending is being micromanaged, right? And there might be a different perspective where he's like, but we had this shared goal of saving money for a home, and when I see you spending, What does that do? Right, so we're trying to have a fully different conversation, which means we need to be prepared. Don't come into this ready with all your defenses. Like, know what your defenses are. Know what you're defensive about. Know what you're sensitive to. Is it yours? Is it his? Is it old shit? Is it family history stuff? Like, write it down so that there can actually be, like, if I'm trying to listen to understand, I can't understand if you're just like, I don't know, that's just how I am. It's just how I was raised. There's like no self-awareness in that. There's no ownership in that. Right? Like, I could be like, I know I overspend. I also know that is a part of, some of my anxiety, some of my needs for control. So if I know that I'm not feeling in control of my life, instead of like being like, well, so when I don't feel control, I have to go spend. I have to like feel like I have control over my money. Like, no, what else am I not feeling in control over? And is that the area that I can then talk about so that I stop having destructive behaviors? And also, if we talked about having this shared goal, did we not really then talk about how do we get to that goal? What's the intention behind that goal? Do we even agree on that goal? Because if I'm still spending, probably didn't agree with that goal. But I might have just said, sure, that sounds great, because again, conflict, don't want to do it. Right? So inviting the other person to the conversation, again, with context, with feelings, with what you're trying to get from it. Coming up with a collective time that works. Now, again, sometimes life happens. So we maybe made a plan to have a conversation and something got in the way. As long as we acknowledge that something got in the way and that we then reschedule that time, that's fine. If life gets in the way and then we don't put in, and that just gets pushed off and we never come back to it, we'll always let life get in the way. We don't make this a priority. Having conflictual conversations that will likely lead to some connection, even though it might be challenging, we're going to come to the other end on top. Like, that should absolutely be a priority. So if someone asks you for a conversation, please do not tell them that you're free in 3 weeks. I hope is that in the next 24 hours, you can find some time to have this conversation. If it's super like one that's really hard and you're like, okay, I got to think about some things on this, or let's talk about let's talk about the things we want to actually talk about, because when it's a big issue, you might try to throw everything in. So you might say, hey, what I'd really like to get through, because this is a big issue for us, is like this piece of it. So so on that piece, here are the things that I know are going to be challenging for me and that I need to be mindful of, and I need to write down, and I need to like kind of like, okay, so then what are some different ways? Or, what are some tools I can use to repair? Have that shit written down, right? State when you're feeling defensive. Ask for your partner to say it another way. If you feel like your partner's being critical and you're feeling defensive, you can say, hey, like, I don't know. It might be me. I don't know. I don't know if this is how you meant it. But like, I'm feeling defensive and this is the way it took what you said. Like, is that what you meant? It's okay, right? Like, we can get through this, but is there also another way that maybe you can say that a little bit softer, because it's really hard for me to hear right now. I'm feeling really defensive. Like, that took some courage and some self-awareness. So instead of being like, no, that's it. That's like, okay, let me try that. Let me see if I can sit in the feelings a bit more. Maybe I need to express the feelings more. This is going to be the work, guys, is that in these moments, we have to talk about what's going on for us as we're going through it. Like, it's hard. That's hard. This is a hard one for us, right? Like, I am having a really hard time validating this. So let me ask you more questions, or, right? Like, we got to talk about what's going on. Like, sometimes when people like just describe their feelings to me, it's like, you just said it all. You said it all so beautifully. But what comes out to their partner is this like tiny little thing that means nothing. It's full of criticism. And then you're trying to like connect all these things, and it's hard. So, we have to have context. We need to be aware, we need to understand why this is bothering us so that we can come together. So I think what I was starting with there is to write down your tools, right? To write down the tools that you know that you're going to be able to access or might not be able to access. So you need them written down. Like you might need to write down timeout if needed. You know, because you might like get a little overwhelmed to look and be like, oh yeah, I think I need a timeout. Right? Is there a repair? Can you get out of process? You know, what are some of the things that you can do, some of the tools that you can use in the midst of conflict? Remember, we're still trying to have positive interactions, even when we're in conflict. And if we approach this with, I'm coming in to win, you both lose. So the invitation to the conversation is an invitation for connection, is an invitation to work on something in the relationship that needs some attention. And then you both win. The relationship wins. The connection grows. And sometimes we find out information where these are deal breakers. But we're getting information. It's important information. It might not be what you wanted, but it's still important. It's still relevant, still necessary. And we take that and we can make our next choices with it. But if we don't even get there, we're not even using accurate information. And the reason is because we're either not making the time to have these conversations or we're just sidelining someone with them and they're not going well. And then we avoid and we disconnect. So an invitation to a conflictual conversation should be seen with like, oh yeah, like this is an opportunity for more connection. We need to make time for this. Again, we're trying to flip conflict and our belief system on its fucking head. Like I want you to walk away feeling very different about conflict than you did before you started. Because again, then I feel like this was absolutely worth your money. If you can just change that concept, that belief system, we're ahead of the game.